Friends, fellow passengers, let's talk about the air we breathe. We breathe it in, this air called freedom. We tasted it in our choices, what to buy, what to watch, who to love, what to say into the void of the internet. It feels vast, doesn't it? Expansive. We move through our days, captains of tiny ships on an endless sea of possibility. This is the story. This is the narrative that hums in our bones. Freedom. But what if the sea has walls? Invisible, algorithmic walls? What if the horizon is a projection? And what if the most profound prison ever built is one where the prisoners cheer for their own captivity, convinced they are in a park? I want to speak to you tonight about an illusion, the most dangerous illusion of all, the illusion of a free mind in a compliant world. And to do that, I must take us into the cold, gray, unforgiving light of a book published in 1949. A warning flare shot into the future that still burns our hands today. George Orwell's 1984. We often reduce 1984 to a checklist of horrors, surveillance, brutality, propaganda. We nod and say, yes, yes, Big Brother is watching. And we glance at our webcams, cover them with sticker, and feel vigilant. We've missed the point. The true horror of Orwell's vision is not the boot on the neck. It is the boot in the mind. It is not about making you suffer. It is about making you love the thing that makes you suffer. It is about the systematic murder of interiority. Consider Winston Smith. He is not a hero on a battlefield. He is a clerk in a cubicle, rewriting history in a ministry of truth. His rebellion does not with a bomb. It begins with a private thought, a sentence in a secret diary. Down with Big Brother, written in a corner of his apartment, away from the telescreen. That act, that solitary, silent act of thinking a forbidden thought, is the last bastion of true freedom. The party understands this. It is not enough to control actions. They must control reality itself. They must colonize the past, so you have no benchmark for the present. They must weaponize language, so you have no words for dissent. Newspeak isn't about adding words. It's about surgically removing concepts. Freedom, as a political concept, will be erased from the dictionary, and eventually from the human mind. How can you yearn for what you cannot name? This is the first layer of the illusion, the freedom of choice without the freedom of thought. We today are offered a carnival of choices, a million channels, a billion products, endless customization. But are we choosing from a menu written by someone else? Are our desires our own, or are they subtle suggestions implanted by 1,000 clicks, 1,000 ads, a curated reality that shows us only a reflection of what we already are, never a window to what we could be? We confuse the frenzy of consumption for the exercise of liberty. Winston, too, could choose Victory Gin over Victory Coffee. It was a choice. But it was a choice between two poisons in a cage he was told was the world. Then, the second deeper layer, the theft of connection. In 1984, the ultimate crime is not murder, it is thought crime. And the ultimate tool to break it is not torture of the body alone, but the torture of the soul's attachments. O'Brien, the Inquisitor, does not want Winston to confess. He wants him to betray Julia, the woman he loves, to betray the private, tender, messy humanity they shared. You must love Big Brother, O'Brien says. Not obey, love. This is the final masterpiece of the illusion, a system that grants you the sensation of social connection through platforms, through networks, through constant digital chatter, while systematically eroding the conditions for genuine, vulnerable, risky human connection. A connection that could form a solidarity against the system. They commodify our loneliness and sell it back to us as community. They turn love of performance and dissent into a trend. And in the end, in room 101, Winston's deepest, most personal fear is used to make him sacrifice the one real thing he had. He is made to say, "Do it to Julia," tear her face apart, and when he does, he is free. Free because his inner world, the last territory of the self, has been occupied. He is now hollow, and in that hollowness, he can finally love the fill that Big Brother provides. He is free from the burden of his own soul. Is that freedom? Or is it the most complete slavery imaginable? This is our haunting parallel. We are not in Airstrip 1. There are no thought police knocking down doors. But we live in an age of voluntary surveillance. We carry the telescreen in our pockets and we pay for it. We offer up our thoughts, our relationships, our fears, our desires, in exchange for convenience and a faint digital warmth. Our language is not being erased by a ministry. It is being flattened, abbreviated, turned into emoticons and algorithms that predict our next word before we think it. Our history is not rewritten by clerks, but by a swirling, digitized present that has no past, where truth is a matter of consensus and volume, not fact. The illusion is this: we believe we are free because we can shout. But what if the marketplace is designed to absorb all shouts, to turn every cry of anger in just another product, another data point, another click? We mistake the echo chamber for the public square. We mistake reaction for action. We mistake the constant, anxious noise in our heads for independent thought. So, does real freedom live? Orwell, in his bleakness, shows us. It lived for a moment in a rented room above a junk shop. It lived in a gesture, a hand clasp in a crowd. It lived in a memory of a mother's love, a fragment of a rhyme, a piece of coral in a glass paperweight. It lived in the unshareable, unmonetizable, unquantifiable interior space, the space between a thought and an action, the space of a feeling you cannot post, the space of a loyalty that cannot be traded. That space is now the battleground, the last frontier. To cultivate that interiority is a radical act. To be bored and not reach for a device. To sit with an uncomfortable thought and not scream it into the social media void for validation. To love someone in a way is offline, unrecorded, and sacred in its ordinary silence. To remember things, not just with a digital photo, but with your body, your senses, your flawed and beautiful memory. To read a book that challenges you, not an algorithm that confirms you. This is the resistance. It is quiet. It is profoundly unsexy. It will not trend. 1984 is not a prophecy of tanks and loudspeakers. It is a prophecy of a smile on a screen that asks for everything while giving you a meme. It is a warning that the road to the ministry of love is paved with our own willing clicks, our own traded privacies, our own desperate hunger to be seen and liked by the machine. Do not wait for the boot to appear. By then, you will have already learned to love the feel of its soul. The defense begins now, in the choice to turn off, to log out, to be alone with your own mind in all its terrifying, glorious, ungovernable silence, to protect your inner Winston with his diary and his desperate love at all costs. The illusion of freedom is a cage made of light. True freedom is the courage to sit in the dark and know your own mind.